A narrow palate. What is this and what can be done about it? Well, the palate is the roof of the mouth, and in modern society the gap between the molars, so this bottom dimension, so the minimum distance between the two molars, is approximately 29 to about 34 millimeters. People in modern developed countries such as the UK, if people come see me who have also been brought up in less well developed countries, it's wider in relative to terms of the development of the country that they've come from. And interesting enough, all our ancestors, I mean literally all our ancestors, had an intermolar width in the low 50s, and a very similar sort of width. It didn't matter what race, where you came from, they're all the same, and very, very consistent widths. Now, narrow palates frequently go with crooked teeth and the adenoidal type face, the long, thin face that's growing downwards. And it's associated with the facial lengthening and craniofacial dystrophy. And the problem is that this is a vicious cycle. That if the tongue's not up in the roof of your mouth, up on the palate, holding the midface up and forwards, then the maxilla will drop down, lengthening the face. And as that starts to occur, of course, the palate gets narrower. But as the palate gets narrower, it's then less comfortable to place your tongue in the roof of your mouth, so the cycle continues. You don't put your tongue as much, the maxilla drops further, it becomes more uncomfortable. And it's possible to widen palates relatively easily, but what you tend to notice is that frequently this relapses. Now, when my father took over my grandfather's practice, he was shocked to see that my grandfather had been doing expansion, because of course he was taught at dental school in the era he qualified that expansion was unstable, as we're taught today, and you should never do it. And yet my grandfather had been doing it, and there were clearly cases where it was stable. So my grandfather kept very good records. My father called these individuals back in again, and he noticed one of three things. He noticed that, one, there'd either been some relapse. So a lot of these kids, and the majority of them, the expansion that had been gained had relapsed. Then there was another group, the second group, where the expansion had stayed and it hadn't relapsed. And then there was a third group, and this third group, well, they'd expanded even further. Now, it's outliers like this that are often ignored by science that can tell you a great deal. And he came to the conclusion that if the tongue subsequently goes up into the palate and rests there, finds a home there, then the expansion could not only be stable, but actually will continue to widen, continue to be gaining expansion. And there's a certain threshold for this to occur. And my rule of thumb when I'm treating patients now in my clinic is if they're much below an intermolar width of about 37, people will struggle to place their tongue comfortably in the roof of the mouth and maintain the width, or even expand it further. And much below that magic 37, they gently start to relapse. So it's clearly an issue if you have a narrow maxilla. Things can be done, but again, and this is the big message in orthotropics, it's up to you. Don't expect someone to do this for you. Someone can help you, but it's still up to you to change yourself.